It's the first time that people are ever get to hear the demos of the songs and hear about the stories of the music itself.
So excited to be able to talk about some of these songs that we don't really get to highlight that often in our career, or things that people probably would never know.
Arguably the most famous and successful musical brothers, Joe, Nick, and Kevin.
The Jonas Brothers!
Trio of superstars, a Grammy-nominated band of brothers.
Their songs have been streamed more than 13 billion times. With nearly 20 million albums sold.
Multi-platinum selling group. Jonas Brothers are back! Oh my God!
Ryan Tedder told me about how like Columbia dropped a bunch of artists
On the same day.
which is crazy. Like
OneRepublic, us, Katy Perry.
Yeah.
It was a really tough time for us as a family. We were being dropped by our label. We were writing these songs, and we knew there was something promising about it, but we needed some hope.
We didn't really have any other way to like get our music out there. So like MySpace for us was the thing, and we started making short form content before short form content on YouTube. YouTube was just born.
And that was the original SOS demo too on Garageband.
We haven't.
Oh, dang.
I just remember hitting my back so bad, and definitely should have stopped the show.
This is the day of demo of Jealous, and it sounds pretty close to it apart from the different lyrics.
We looked at each other just like, this is different.
We should write like our edgiest song. It should be like hot. The literal first lyric is, I'm hot.
How did we come up with that one?
The rest of the budget for the album, this is all we got.
Our fans are in their 20s or their 30s, having experiences of their own with loss or a first child or marriage. The songs still connect.
This is the only place I would share the story. I haven't done it yet. I've never played it for anybody, but would you like to hear it?
Yeah.
Oh my.
This song's awesome.
This song's
And
awesome.
How do you know when you're great?
I'm a sucker for you. Yeah.
All right, super excited to welcome the Jonas Brothers to Behind the Wall today.
Yeah.
That's impressive. Hi, thank you.
Thank
So
you
excited
much.
to have you.
Thank you for having us on. We're big fans. We've watched a lot of our friends on your show.
Really?
Nah, just kidding. Yes, we have. As we were just discussing before we started, that we are thrilled that they might have asked a few questions for us.
Yeah.
But yeah, we watched a bunch of our buddies on this show, and I think it's great. It's so exciting to be able to talk about some of these songs that we don't really get to really highlight that often in our career, or things that people probably would never know. So this is quite exciting.
Definitely. And it's been a very long career, over 20 years now.
We did
That's
it.
incredible.
Thank you.
It's almost longer than most of the people who are watching have been alive.
Yeah, that's humbling.
But what's interesting though is I watch. So what I do to prepare, go behind the wall. What I do is I often try to watch as many of the interviews as possible that you guys have done over the years, and there's a lot of them. There's a ton of them.
I can only imagine how many there are.
And
Sorry
what I
to put you
found
through that.
it was fun. I like watching them on planes. One of the interesting things I found though was a lot of the interviews talked about your personal lives more than the music itself. A lot of them went through who you are, and I was sad to see not a ton about the actual music, which is why I'm so excited for today, because that's what I love to focus on specifically.
Yep.
In fact, I think
Just took us 20 years, finally. We also like talking about the music.
Yeah, we're not sure why that happened, but here we are.
one of the interviews I saw, it even like had you guys introduced kind of like as Power Rangers, and it was like Kevin, 17, the extrovert, Joe, 16, the heartthrob, Nick, 14, the baby, and it was just like, I'm really excited for today because I grew up with Disney Channel, I grew up with your guys' music, and I think there's so many questions that I have personally about the songs that you've written in the past, the songs you've written today. I'm excited to go over all 20 years of it.
Love it.
Great.
Cool.
Thank you so much. Thrilled.
That being said, though, some of the people, like I was looking into it, and some of the people who are watching may not even know. One of the questions I love asking first is, for anyone who doesn't know who you are, what are some of the songs they might know you from? You guys are the Jonas Brothers. Most people are going to know who you are, but what's interesting is a lot of kids today don't even know that like Harry Styles was in One Direction. So I kind of want to change the question a little
Sure.
bit. So for any kids out there who may not know who you are, because most millennials and Gen Z will, what are some of the songs they might know you from?
It's a great question.
Sucker.
Yeah.
Probably the biggest one.
I'm in a movie, Hotel Transylvania 3. I'm a seeing Kraken. So
Wait,
they
that's
might
crazy.
they might know me from my work in that film. Children. Also
Cake by the Ocean.
reruns Cape by the Ocean.
It's
Jealous.
a DNCE song, but it's a Jonas Brothers thing that people associate.
Reruns of a show called Jonas
Classic.
or Jonas LA. That is Camp Rock.
Yep.
I think they're being reintroduced to it.
A lot of songs. But what I think there's like this overnight success, and you guys like work so hard to get here though. So the next question I always like to ask is, how many songs do you think you wrote? Or what'd be interesting is, how many shows do you think you played until you got your first hit?
How many songs do you think you've
Songs
written?
that we wrote. So it's kind of interesting backstory. Basically, I was signed first as a solo artist, and I started making a solo album. And I basically was 12 years old and set up each day over the course of a summer with different songwriters in the New York, New Jersey, Long Island area during my summer break from school. And it was really the time I kind of cut my teeth and learned how to get in a room and collaborate and write songs. Because up until that point, I had just been writing with our dad. And so, out of that experience, we then wrote a song, first song we ever wrote together, which became the song that got the three of us signed. So David Massey, who was the head of the imprint that we were on at Columbia Records, then kind of set us up with this song called The Year 3000, which began sort of the journey of the Jonas Brothers in a more meaningful way. I think it was probably 2 years of grinding and touring and playing shows before
Sorry.
Disney.
Somebody forgot to put their phone on silent.
I am on the thing. Sorry. Do not
Before
disturb.
Disney played the music video for Year 3000, even though the song had been out for a while, and it hadn't gained a whole lot of traction, Disney kind of turned on the afterburners and really understood how to speak to that audience. Columbia didn't quite have their heads around how to market us, and the attempts that we had made to make a record that felt authentic to us kind of got pushed aside, and a new agenda to sort of turn us into like a pop punk band was applied to it, and it was a really bizarre process, and in a lot of ways, in retrospect, I think good for us to have gone through a major label experience where we were put on a shelf and got shuffled around a bunch and eventually dropped, to then look up and partner with Disney, who said, we really know how to speak to this audience. We think this song could be a hit. And so, long story short, about 2.5 years into releasing music and playing shows, we had our first hit. And it was truly because of Disney Channel.
Yeah, it's interesting. A lot. You just said so much there, and I feel like what's interesting is like the Columbia, getting dropped by Columbia. There was this famous story where Ryan Tedder told me about how like Columbia dropped a bunch of artists
on the same day,
which is crazy.
One
like
Republic,
One Republic,
us, Katy
Katy
Perry.
Perry. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a pretty tough day for whoever made those decisions. I think a couple years later, it became clear that obviously that didn't age very well. But I remember going to see, there's this big building in New York City, really intimidating. If you ever played the Spider-Man video game on Xbox, or PlayStation, OG Spider-Man game, you could actually go to the building because it was a Sony building and Sony video game. Anyway,
it was awesome. That game ruled.
It was like an old school record business building where there was big, leather couches and in a corner office with books everywhere and record plaques and all that kind of stuff. And just money, just was like the glory days of the record business. This is like 2003 and 4, 5-ish. And what, became pretty clear is that there were so many people in that building and so many people that, were a part of decisions being made, but only a handful that actually had the power to make real decisions. Mm-hmm. And so if you didn't have a champion in that building, champion meaning someone that, basically says, I love this project, I love this artist, I'm going to take this and make it a success, then it was really tough to break through because they had hundreds and hundreds of artists. But they had this showcase room where they, had a stage set up, small stage set up, and some instruments for bands to come in and do a showcase. And the first day we kind of walked into the building, we looked over and saw, through the window a band playing, and it was One Republic. And years later, obviously, we would work with Ryan and become very, very good friends with him and share some of these stories. But yeah, I think that time and that era of music is it feels like a different lifetime. Yeah. And it certainly isn't like that today.
Yeah. What's interesting though is you also talked about, Nick, you were originally signed as a solo artist, and then you guys came in together on Please Be Mine. Kevin, can you talk to me about what that first writing session was like for you when you guys wrote that first song together?
Yeah, me and Joe were very much kind of into our own music scene. Started in New Jersey, like the emo, like early, like rock and roll music that we loved, which was, you know, my first cassette I bought that was exciting was MXPX, and, you know, bands like that, Slick Shoes. We loved everything. And I stayed home from school one time, had strep throat for like 3 weeks, and it was chronic at that point. Should have had my tonsils taken out. But then learned to play guitar via Teach Yourself Guitar book. That's kind of like how I got started on acoustic guitar. And we
Do you remember what the book was called, by the way?
Teach Yourself Guitar.
Is that really what it was called?
Yeah, it's just Teach Yourself Guitar. It was in our family's piano's bench. It was just, there was one book in there. We had like a guitar that was given to the family. It was kind of an electric, but it was we played it like an acoustic. It was, no one played guitar yet, really, you know. So I started playing that, and it was very, very much, I fell in love with it quickly. Because, you know, who doesn't want to be in a band? I saw one of my best friends at the time, a couple of years past, I saw him in a band that he was in. He was a cello player. And he was in this like kind of like an early boy band, but like a rock boy band thing. And I went and saw him in the West Village, and my mind was blown. I was like, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen. I want to be in a band like this. And I went with my dad to see it. And I asked him, like, do you think I could do this? And he goes, maybe, if you keep working at it. It's not easy. And he wasn't like, yeah, you could do it. He was like, it's going to take a lot of work. He was very honest, which was really awesome and really great.
It sounds like he was also supportive at the same time.
Yeah, no, he was. He was like, yeah, maybe. Like, he's like, but you have to work at it.
Yeah.
And I think that's very much our whole energy, our whole life. They were very supportive, our parents, but they also like saw our drive. They never pushed us. We pushed and they supported, which was incredible. But to actually answer your question, me and Joe were working on a song to play at our like church youth group, which was 24 by Switchfoot. One of our favorite albums ever, which is, what's the name of that album?
Beautiful
Letdown. And it's just incredible, that album. Top to bottom, one of our favorites. Obviously, Switchfoot's actually getting on this on our new album, which is really cool.
Oh, wow.
And playing 24, we actually just played it recently on this last tour with Joel Foreman, which was kind of mind-blowing for me. But we were working on this song in our bedroom. We shared a room, and Nick, I think, heard us through the wall, kind of came in, and we kind of just started playing around with a song concept. He was writing and doing his other things, but me and Joe kind of like were like not doing our own thing, but kind of focused on our own style and listening to music at the time.
Yeah. What's interesting though is I saw like a really old video footage of you, Nick, performing as Nicholas Jonas, like when you were 12.
Yeah.
On like a news broadcast.
Yeah.
But you had your brothers with you too. So, like, what's interesting is like brothers can honestly be very competitive with one another, but you were like, I want to make this into like a family project. What changed when you guys all came together?
I don't think he wanted to.
I mean, to be honest, it was kind of a decision that was made for us. The label basically heard the song, and rightfully so, said, "This is magical. We should turn this into a group project." But you know, keep in mind, I'm 12 years old. From you know, maturity-wise, emotional maturity was still obviously developing, and so it kind of felt like this thing had been taken from me, and now it was all of a sudden being spread out over the three of us. And it took me all of 24 hours to come to and be like, yeah, okay, this is going to be great, and to be excited about it. But our dad took me to lunch to tell me the news, and I was 12. I was disappointed. And then after, conversation and talking more through it and seeing the potential for what it could be to share this experience with my brothers, it was an incredibly exciting thing. And I couldn't deny too, like I knew there was an inherent sort of magic in what we had done together. And with the right team to help us, make an album and start to develop our sound, I thought it could be something really special.
Yeah. It's also interesting though, because I mean, you come from the Broadway world. I was also Gavroche and Les Mis, fun fact.
Oh wow, amazing.
That's awesome.
Joe, you and I were both born in Arizona, and
We have nothing in common.
we do. Both born in November.
There you go. Look at us.
Actually found something.
Boom.
When you guys started to like find your own voices, though, like coming from the Broadway world, it can be like a very whiny tone and very enunciating. How did you start to find your voice as artists?
We kind of were. We went through Garageband camp almost. Steve Greenberg, who kind of helped lead our project shortly after David Massier, they kind of worked together in first season. But our dad was obviously very influential musically, but to find our own sound, we were introduced to a lot of different like rock and roll and old punk rock bands. I think somebody had this idea that we should be this garage band, punk rock band. And we were like, well, we like some of those sounds. And we started working with Steve Greenberg a little bit more closely. And we started kind of just doing what you do and making loud music together and taking some of those sweet harmonies that we had together that felt natural, because growing up in a church and in theater, and also our dad always introducing us to Beatles, Fleetwood Mac, and the BeeGees, are artists and bands who are constantly sounding so wonderful, blending their voices. It was kind of like a nice marriage. So I think once by the time we were figuring out what we wanted to sound like, we got dropped. So it's kind of like, maybe this is not right. But we were also like, there was a lot of cooks in the kitchen, and we were so young. We said yes a lot. We were like, our first album was, there was a lot of people helping us along the way to figure out what we were going to sound like. But,
Sorry to interrupt, but you know, we were a part of the writing process for that album, and definitely felt involved, but felt like there was a clear sort of pushing towards what Joe said, like a sound, a punk pop sound.
And it's funny because our audience at the time, which even as it was slowly developing, because we were touring a lot. I mean, we played for anyone that listened to us, every school assembly to opening slot for literally rock bands, and we weren't even allowed. We had to leave the venue. I remember there was we were opening up for the Veronicas, and we were one of three, I think. I remember being Thanksgiving Day, and Ryan Cabrera, not Thanksgiving, it was Super Bowl Sunday. So we were playing in a bar, and
Columbus, Ohio.
we had to leave right after we were done because we weren't old enough to be in the bar.
Past 8 o'clock.
So it was quite funny. Things like that happened a lot, but we would play for anyone that listened to us, and our audience was really gravitating towards the songs that we were more prominent in the writing. Whether if it was more of the emotional sounding songs or the songs that had obvious harmonies a part of it. So we were kind of like, oh, like that stuff does feel right for us. Maybe we should explore that more.
So basically, during this time, as we released this album on Columbia Records called "It's About Time," where, you know, we are the songwriters, just the three of us, of the main single from the album called "Mandy," and we're feeling really empowered in our writing, but we're not totally aligned with the sound that is being sort of mandated to us. And around this time too, we're discovering emo pop punk. You know, Fall Out Boy was probably top 10 with Sugar We're Going Down at that time. All American Rejects.
Paramore was just kind of starting to take off.
Classic, yeah.
You know, Hawthorne Heights, like all these bands that we loved, Copeland, and the number one of all those was Switchfoot, where we just studied this album. We would get in our car, Kevin's like red Toyota Camry Corolla, and just listen to these records, something corporate, Jack's Mannequin. And it really started to become clear to us that if the album we made was more like garage, grungy, punk rock, we wanted to land somewhere closer to the emo pop sound.
And we liked the way it sounded. We loved the production.
It wasn't authentic to us to try to force sort of edginess, because we weren't, you know, and we understood that authenticity really mattered. And so, you know, once Year 3000 comes out and Disney starts to play it, which, by the way, that's a one of my favorite stories ever, is basically David Massey, brilliant legend that he is. he says there's this song by this band Busted from the UK that never really crossed over and made it over here. And this was, for those listening, this is before a song would come out on streaming services and just be everywhere globally. A song could properly just come out in the UK or in a different region and just not get to the US or to a different market.
Very rarely, but it would happen, but it was tough to do that.
And so we're sitting there going, well, it's been proven to be a hit over there, and it would totally work for us. So we came to LA, Eric Valentine produced it.
Wow.
And I remember
his
walking into the
studio.
studio
Oh my God.
fascinated by his setup and
His toys.
his
Like
toys.
robot microphone that moves in his guitar rig. It was amazing.
So we're starting to feel some momentum, and basically we fly out to LA as a family. This is 3-4 weeks after we've been dropped by Columbia Records.
Feeling pretty defeated. But
And during this time, we've been in our home in our little house in Little Falls, New Jersey, writing songs every day in our basement, writing songs that were more in line with the sound that we felt really represented us. And this was what would eventually become our self-titled album, which changed our life and career.
and kind of keeping this big secret. We were still touring. And so we go play shows, but yeah, we kind of knew we had no label. And we are too young to even understand what that means. We're like, we just think we're screwed. We're like, well, it's over.
But we know these songs are feeling good, so we write songs like Good Night and Goodbye, Hold On.
I'll never forget. I was going to interrupt you. Hearing the beginning of SOS coming down into our, like, it was a bi-level house. So like you have a 1-2 story thing. We're up in the kitchen. We walk to like the little living room, and then there's another staircase to the basement. And going down there to hear Nick's melody and what he's already started on SOS, like we looked at each other just like, this is different.
I also remember with Hold On,
Yeah.
we were listening to Meant to Live a lot. And if you listen back to you A-B those two songs,
Maybe we should.
A-B it, but you the whole point of Hold On was that we don't have time left to regret. For us, we were like, we wanted to create a song like that. So
Yeah.
we were just like, let's just try. And we had nothing but an electric kit in the basement.
Drum
And
kit, yeah.
a couple of guitars, and we were 4 boys in one room, like living in one room, and just doing it for the love of music.
So we wrote about 10 songs, and we went to our buddy PJ Bianco's studio in Glen Rock, New Jersey, which was basically a space that he had retrofitted with like foam.
So much foam that it,
Like
'cause
egg crates and foam.
It wasn't zoned to be a
Recording
commercial recording
we had to
studio.
sneak
but
in after 10, and if we saw the landlord, we'd have to be like pretending we were using the bathroom
Yeah.
at our buddy's.
And we're recording these records, which are like loud guitars, punk, pop, emo, and we make demos for all these songs. And so then we fly out to LA, and we go to meet with our new record label, Hollywood Records, and
We meet the most awesome man.
we sit down for a meeting with John Lynn.
Yes.
Rest in peace, John
Rest in
Lynn.
peace.
And he's a legend. He's been in the industry in different capacities as a songwriter, as a performer himself, and then as an artist manager, and eventually an A&R guy. And so we sit down fully expecting kind of the same experience that we had at Columbia, to be told, this is what we're going to do. Instead, he said, what do you want to do? And I remember feeling such a sense of relief, because in our bag we had this demo CD that we had just spent 2 weeks recording, hoping that they would let us play it and take at least 1 or 2 of the songs. He goes, great, let's listen. Listens to the 10 songs and goes, I love it. Who do you want to produce it? And I'm just like, what is he talking
Our
about?
heads were like, we were floored.
And I said, John Fields. John Fields is the only person, but I don't think he'll ever work with us. He goes, let's call him. Picks up the phone and calls John Fields, and
It was like out of like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. It's
Yeah.
like, well, I got it.
yeah, I'm just calling.
and John Fields basically says on the phone, Jonas Brothers, yeah, I've like heard a little bit about them. I've never heard the music. Send
He's
me
on
the demos.
speaker, by the way.
Yeah,
We're
send me the
hearing
demos.
him talk about
Am I
us.
wrong? Didn't we come back like
No,
4
he said-
hours later?
Yeah, he said, John, can you come? John Lynn was like, John Fields, can you come today to my studio? He's like, I could be there or my office. He's like, I could be there like 2 p.m. It was probably 11.
Yeah.
He's like, okay, great. Guys, come back. So then we have another meeting with John Fields where we just essentially shake hands and agree that he's going to produce our album.
He's the producer of our favorite album, Beautiful Letdown. He's,
as I mentioned before.
Yeah.
he's like, you know, immediately somebody that I looked at and thought, we're gonna go on a crazy ride together. Like I had a sense that his clarity of thought, his very like, I don't care that you're teenagers, I'm gonna tell you what I actually think energy was
Refreshing for us to hear.
refreshing. We didn't feel like he was trying to like make us feel good. He was just like, oh, let's go make a great record. And you know, it started a 5-6 year journey of making albums with John Fields and making music for our TV show. And basically the demos that we recorded about a month later, we were at a studio here in LA every day banging out one song, and we finished the album in like 14 days or something.
Including 2 Christmas songs.
Including 2 Christmas songs. The first song we recorded for the album was Good Night and Goodbye, or Hold On,
Hold on.
which, don't we have the...
We should. I think I'm going to pull it up.
Oh dang! Wait, was Hold On? Did that come around the time where the Columbia, like,
We wrote that like while
Yeah,
we
we
were
have it.
hearing that we were being dropped.
was
Do we
that
get it?
like song get inspired? Because like I feel like I connected with that song more hearing that, because I feel like it's kind of you guys telling yourselves to hold on and to keep going.
Yeah, that was absolutely the message. We had so much belief in... Guys, you're going to rip this out.
Oh, sorry.
I'll
You
do
guys,
it. I'll
you do
do
it.
it.
Yeah. Sorry.
We had so much belief in our... I don't know, the songs we were writing, and we really were like, these feel good. And of those, I think the SOS kind of had like a little special vibe, and it came
was-
out of like a real life experience. I had gone on, like I was very young, like a chaperoned get together with some people, and it turned into like a friend hang, and I was devastated about it, and it wasn't just a one-on-one. And so I went home and started working on the song, and initially it was supposed to kind of be like an Elvis Costello, sort of Roy Orbison type vibe. And we got in the first day with Fields, and he was like, the song's great, no changes. He's like, but it needs a musical hook at the beginning. And I was like, okay, what do you have in mind? He's like, go figure it out. And he would always say that, and it was like my favorite thing, because there was a little garden with a pool and whatever, and a space to kind of get outside and just write while he worked on some other stuff. And he was like, I don't know, just go figure it out. And so I walked outside and labored over what this musical hook could be for an hour, and then out of frustration, I just started playing. I was like, oh shit, there it is. And I walked in, and I was like, I think I got it. He's like, play it. He's like, great, record it. And so we recorded it, and later that day we had a completed version of SOS. Crazy, but the demo is very different, as they usually are. Do you have a demo?
Yeah, we have the demo.
I made this on GarageBand.
You made this on GarageBand, right?
Yeah, when I was 13.
Guitars. Some of the guitars stayed though. Those. Not stayed, but we redid it. Very GarageBand.
That's a loop
Harmony
right there.
guitars.
Halftime right away.
Halftime, forever that.
That's amazing.
This is 19 years old, this demo.
Wow.
My vocal take is not very off from the Never Get.
Yeah,
Very
so that's-
enunciated. And then you just spoke about Hold On too, so I'll play that quick.
We were obsessed with this song by what's her name? Here in Your Arms. What's that?
Hello, Goodbye.
Hello, Goodbye.
Yeah.
I like...
The vocal, the audio
The
tune.
auto-tune overdrive.
Audition was on like full blast.
We wanted it so bad we fought.
We fought to keep the auto tune. They were like,
Eventually
no.
we took it off though.
Yeah. We lost.
But the demo had it.
on there, right? Like
Yeah.
a whole.
This
Wow.
part has it.
But obviously, you can hear the "Meant to Live." That banana is why we are all those.
Love it.
So you wanted
I-
auto tune on there.
We wanted the auto-tune on because we thought it sounded like progressive and cool and like that Hello Goodbye song In Your Arms that we loved.
This was the Garageband of SOS. Sorry, I have this too. Kind of wild.
But like a couple years later, autotune was the thing, and
Yeah.
like all of this
Oh,
music.
this was before.
This was
auto-tune
before
became-
like it was
wow.
like the trendiest, coolest thing to use. And we missed the boat.
Yeah.
But I
Maybe
mean,
we
the
didn't. I
song's
don't know.
still like, in my opinion, like probably connected more without it.
Yeah, I think so. What happened is
Correct.
John Lind came to the studio because each day we would make a song. We had already written all of them, but we would like produce it out, record the vocals, and it was basically 10 to 5 was the schedule. And
10
at
a.m. to 5 p.m.
10 a.m. to 5 p.m. And at 5 p.m., John Lind would come over, and our dad would come over, and Phil, our manager, and they would just listen to the songs or the song and give feedback or whatever. And after that, we played, the A-B, the John Fields one without auto-tune and the John Fields one with. John Lind was like, I just think you won't want to be remembered as the auto-tune brothers. And I was like, in retrospect, even though we were fighting for it, thinking we had some like youthful creative vision that was, better, I was like, yeah, I'm really glad it's going to stand the test of time more without it
Yeah,
than it would with it. And
we're happy.
there are other records where you just clearly use the tune as like a tool and it's a part of the sound. It makes sense. And as time has gone on, the tune is a humongous part of just the sound that we're all used to.
Yeah.
And I think it's like an amazing tool. But at that time, it was so early in the era of auto-tune and everything else that it wasn't right.
And that was the original SOS demo too on GarageBand.
That was the one we made. So the GarageBand one was different, actually. That was the one we made in
have that one?
PJ Studio. The GarageBand one sounds even shittier, but
I would love for us to hear that one.
Yeah, we have it.
I'm glad that people
it?
could hear the song through the poorly produced demos. But
Did you play everything on it?
so on GarageBand, what I would do is I would take drum loops because we didn't
Yeah.
have a way to record, so I just take the loops, so that was done, and then play all the guitar parts and stuff. And we had a piano in our house, but and we didn't have an elaborate setup. We just
The GarageBand was like mind blowing to us anyway because it was like pretty new for
yeah,
Apple.
this that was kind of cool.
That's it.
This one was definitely inspired by Jack's Mannequin though.
Yeah.
Totally.
Oh, did that? Yeah. Forgot about that.
Guitar sounds nice.
Takamine.
Love it.
So, all right, we get it. Basically, the album comes out. This is the first single, which was an amazing thing, and it goes to I think #1 on iTunes and
Wow.
iTunes back when that was a thing, and the album, comes out, sells like I think 30 or 40,000 units first week, which by today's standards would be incredible. Back then, it was kind of like, well, we're just gonna have to keep grinding. And it came out in August, and then over the course of 3-4 weeks after it came out, it kind of went down to its lowest point, maybe 10,000 units, and then something happened. And I still to this day can't just describe. It's like a scene from a.
It's the American Music Awards.
Oh, that's what it
It was
was.
the American Music Awards happened. So we performed this song, Walking on Broken Glass, at the American Music Awards in November. So you're right, it's August through November.
The
That
stakes
whole-
couldn't have been higher. It was the first big TV performance.
The amount of
Pretty
people
much,
that
like,
came
we-
up to us was like, you guys really need to make sure you like
this is the one. Like this is
We're
we're
like,
putting the
okay,
budget,
no
the rest
pressure.
of pretty much the rest of the budget for the album. This is all we got, right? Like this is the moment. It's either gonna make or break everything. So that was no pressure on us. We go through rehearsals. Everything's fine. We have these giant plate glass windows that will break and shatter, and we'll walk through broken glass. Joe just had to make it a little bit more intense.
wasn't really on purpose.
I
but-
know. So Joe slips during the performance. It breaks. I'm telling your story, but it breaks, and he.
Please, I love when people tell traumatic stories on my behalf.
Okay, go ahead, Joe. You finish this.
I'm joking. You guys were there. It's fine. I essentially tripped on this insane frame, similar to what you have behind you can't see it, but behind the camera, it was like that size, and they had this
sugar glass,
but they had
like
this
breakable
thing
glass.
where they would shatter it. It was so cool. Only could do it once. We're like, how many times can we rehearse it? So like one time. We're like, all right, we didn't wear the show shoes that we were gonna wear during the performance, brand new shoes, and I like caught my foot on something and fell forward, and the whole audience was like, and I'm
It's like a room of our heroes, and we're like new to this. Like, we're literally teens. I'm 14 or 15. Joe's 16 or 17. Like, people are looking at us like, who are these kids? They've probably heard some buzz about us, but this is like the premiere performance, and this happens, and the stakes were so high for us back then. We took everything like really seriously and very personally, and because of what had happened to us as a family with New Jersey and the church, and being sort of pushed out and being like torn out of our community and our life there, I think we were all feeling at every moment like, oh, what's going to happen in our career? And so like if something goes wrong. So this happens, and basically the album shoots up the chart. And over the course of the next 6 to 7 weeks
and
leading
also,
up to Christmas.
But to interrupt you, I would say that in the next morning, everyone was talking about like Shakira's amazing performance. Congrats to Beyonce, she won this award, and I feel really bad for those guys, those Jonas Brothers kids.
Through the roof.
So like, it was like sympathy vote, but also we were on every like morning news program being like, who are these people? We feel bad, but like, oh, it was nice that they kept performing.
Like we kept going.
Had the performance been like, had that not happened, maybe it wouldn't have traveled as much. So
went viral in a sense.
It went viral in a sense.
It did, and Joe was wearing white, so we actually saw the blood. Which was like, I think if you were wearing any other color, Joe.
Or this was all part of the plan.
So anyway, we basically start to see the album selling more and more and more. And from that point to the end of the year, it had sold 1 million units. And we were starting to record our next album, which was a little bit longer, while we were shooting Camp Rock. So we recorded, this is wild. It's crazy to tell these stories. We're shooting Camp Rock in Toronto, Canada. We go to this studio. John Fields flies up, and here's the 3 songs that we want to cut while we're there. And the 3 songs were a song called Be Good, A Little Bit Longer, which is the title track of the album, and Burnin' Up. And he heard Burnin' Up and was like, oh my God, let me do my thing while you guys are on set. And we came back, and he had produced out the track, and it just blew our minds. And we knew if we just like got that out into the world and shot a fun music video, that thing could go. It just like things were firing on all cylinders, and it was a real moment. And sure enough, it became the first single off of A Little Bit Longer, and that was I don't know, one of the craziest experiences of our life. Again, we were really empowered to be writing and creating our own music because it was really connecting with the audience, and fans were really connecting to these themes of heartbreak and the angst of being a teenager, and also love, and so Lovebug was on that album, and that's my favorite song I've ever written, and probably ever will. I don't know. It's one of my favorites.
It's iconic.
And just of the I think that's if I had to give it a ranking, that's the quintessential Jonas Brothers album for many reasons. And it came out and it sold 1 million units in the first 2 weeks, or whatever it was, and it was just a crazy ride.
So you guys wrote all those songs while filming Camp Rock at the same time?
We were actually on tour promoting the album prior. Were we on opening for someone, or we were doing our own?
We were on tour in we did our own tour.
That's the studio we used.
Shout out.
Recorded some of that stuff in Arizona, I remember.
Yeah, we were on that. We were on the
on a
Marvelous
tour.
Party tour.
It was something like that.
Yeah.
And then we did our tour in the top of 2008, which started in like theaters, and then by the time we finished the tour, we got to play our hometown arena, which was sort of a full circle moment for us. And a place that we used to go watch sporting events and sit in the bleachers, and all of a sudden we're looking out and we're performing at it. And then we went and opened for Avril Lavigne in Europe, and we're out here, we're like living our dream and doing all the things and playing shows, and momentum is starting, but we're kind of far removed from what's happening in the U.S. And we basically fly from that tour with Avril to Canada to do 3 days of tour rehearsals for the Burnin' Up tour. and our life had just changed at that point.
Amazing.
It was a crazy rocket ship to the moon.
I want to continue talking about this part of the story, but there's like 2 other songs that really stood out. I think before, it was really cool to hear about SOS in particular from you, Nick. But 2 of the other songs that really stand out off the self-titled album was When You Look Me in the Eyes. And I was looking at the credits, and I see, Kevin, I see your name twice. And then I realized it's not your name twice.
My dad's.
Yeah.
My dad's. Yeah.
How did that song come about?
That was originally a song for my solo project. And we had all written it together. It was going to be on my solo album, which never got released when I was like 11 or 12. And we wrote it with that guy, PJ Bianco in New Jersey, and Raymond Boyd, who was a professional drummer, a friend of our dad's. And, you know, I think even our dad may have like sang on the original demo. And, you know, it was years later. So we release It's About Time, our first album, which doesn't really have the authentic sound. We're making the self-titled album. And John Fields goes, hey, there's one more song that I heard a demo of. He's like, and it's great. I want to, you know, produce a version of it and see if it's right for the album. And we were all really opposed to it. We're like, it's not our sound. Like, we're more like emo, pop, punk, rock. He's like, give me a day and then let's see. He's like, I just want to try some things and see. He's like, I'm going to give it the Dare You to Move treatment. Dare You to Move has this brilliant guitar tuning called Dadgad. For any songwriters, it's
Changed our life.
You should learn how to play Dadgad, very simple shapes, but it gives you really interesting voicings for songs, and it's very easy to play. And he had used that in Dare You to Move and was like, I'm going to do a Dadgad version of Look Me in the Eyes. So we flew for a concert for like a day. We come back to a studio that night, and he plays us what he had spent the day doing, and it's incredible. And it's what ended up being on the album. We cut our vocals, and you know, that was the second single off of the self-titled album.
Yeah.
And to me, probably one of the most meaningful songs in our catalog, and what it means to us as a family, but what it means to our fans, and hearing stories of people from all, you know, walks of life, generations, how that song has affected them or impacted them. I think there's also a soulful element to it that was a really important piece to our sound. And our dad fully, you know, instilled that in us as writers and singers.
You said your dad sang the song with you. Do you guys have that?
I think he's on there.
You want to just plug it in? It's right there at the bottom one.
He was also like our vocal coach growing up. So when we would initially start recording songs, he would sometimes come in and like contribute to background vocals or.
Definitely him playing piano.
This is like fresh off my Broadway days
Oh,
as
wow.
a kid. That's you. Oh, there's Dad on the background vocals.
That third.
It's like very boy bandy sounding.
Yeah.
We're also like totally students of the Swedes and like Max Martin and
Yeah.
that whole thing, and like the song Incomplete had just come out as like the boy band, as the Backstreet Boys had like resurged. So like I think that there was like like pieces of that like idea in the demo of that too, for sure.
Yeah.
Amazing. There's a very popular thing in songwriting called demoitis. Your voice sounds much higher on that version. What was it like to re-record that? Did you like miss your old vocals, or was it like, this is way better now when I
Well, now it's like, you know, we've just released a live album where people can hear these songs with our voices today. I mean, I was like going through a vocal change throughout the self-titled album and a little bit longer, and even parts of Lines Vines, where I was able, thankfully, to sort of like transition naturally from being a scratchy 13-year-old into teenage. But then I had
Sounds
another.
very nice, though. I'm gonna be honest.
Thanks. I had another one, you know, when I turned 21, and like I started doing solo stuff. So my different stages of my voice throughout the time have been sort of chronicled through the music. But it's nice now that there's a modern recording of this, because I love the way it sounds now with our voices, and it's you know, not quite as high.
And also, the other song that really stood out was "That's Just the Way We Roll." And Joe, I hear that there was something that you did songwriting wise that really stood out in that one.
Was there?
Something with the like a guitar part.
The riff.
Oh yeah, that's right. There was a guitar riff that and it's happened still to songwrite. I mean, I'm getting better guitar, but back then I didn't play any guitar, so it was a lot of it was singing the guitar, like the guitar line in "That's Just the Way We Roll." Da, 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 da. I would just like sing lines of guitars that I felt like would sound good, and John Fields and I think it was Blue was trying, the writer that's a part of that was trying to kind of
Match
like
you.
match me.
Yeah. But a lot of artists do that though. Like that you say that
they
like,
always do
Michael
that.
Jackson did that.
Oh, really? Oh,
Bieber
sweet.
did that. Like
Yeah, I think it wasn't my strongest instrument, so it's always fun to see if they could figure it out.
Yeah.
And great guitar players could. And funny enough, we're sitting here, and this is kind of like, this is the only place I would share this story, but me, John Lynn, and Blue, and John Fields, John Fields, and Blue, we had another song that wrote years later that they wrote that we finished together. And I remember pitching it to John Lynn, and I was like, I really want to release this. And John Lynn was like, no, this is not the vibe. And about 6 months before he passed, he called me, and he's like, I want to talk to you. And I just thought of it. I haven't thought about this in so long, but he called me. He was like, I was wrong. I think you should release this song on Halloween. I haven't done it yet. I've never played it for anybody, but would you like to hear it?
yeah.
The song's called Blacklight.
Oh my!
That song's awesome.
This song's
And
awesome.
Maybe I should release it on this Halloween, but for John Lynn, rest his soul. But it's kind of crazy, but it's pretty cool. But a lot of the guitar parts were sung. Or doing that. This, like, you'll hear it. Underneath the black light.
The guitars in this are so sick.
Obviously very spooky, very Halloween-esque.
Yeah, very.
We'll get to the chorus and then we'll... This one's for John Lynn. Anyway, just thought
I love
I'd
that
share
song.
that story with you.
That's very Halloween.
Yeah, right?
Should go out on Halloween.
For John.
I love that. So Nick, you said earlier that Lovebug was one of the your favorite song you've ever written.
One of. Yeah.
One of your favorite songs you've ever written. One of the things that like really stands out to me about that song is the musical change that happens to go from this sweet to like rock out part, and then also like the guitar harmonies are crazy in there. What was that a musical risk to do at the time, to go from like that like to change genres in the middle of a song?
There's a big influence of My Chemical Romance, Black Parade, in that song.
Yeah.
I love that song.
And switching to the crazy rock out part in the end was really, you know, heavily influenced by them. But also, it's kind of theatrical. You know, I fully not lost on me that song was like written in New York City. I think we'd just gone to see a Broadway show, and I was like, you know, inspired. So went back to the hotel room and started dun, 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 and wanted it to have this sort of crazy journey. And live, it's one of the most incredible moments to play that song and have it switch from that soft sort of Beatles element to the big rock section at the end.
What was the harmony?
But yes, it was a risk. And there was a point where people were like, should we just keep it like the chill vibe and the sweet love song thing? And I think we even did a version that was like that. The other thing that was a risk is there's like this talking at the top of the track, which I can't believe they let us keep on it.
You drop your pencil. Hey, John Taylor.
Yeah, that whole thing.
Yeah, I was gonna ask about that.
But we wanted it to feel sort of like you're at a crazy house party and there's conversations going on, but there's a still sort of moment happening between, you know, the singer and the you know, whatever, the story.
And then the guitar harmony of doing it like that is such like an important part live, as you were saying. And also,
My favorite.
everyone like is talking about a certain artist who's doing like a bunch of backflips now, Benson Boone, shout out. But you guys were also doing that a ton back in the day too. I saw
Maybe
a bunch
not
of
as good
videos.
as him.
He's very talented.
He's very talented.
I can
Sounds
definitely. Yeah, he's very good. Great singer. Yeah, we would also love to do theatrics on stage as well, whether if it was flips or we had a trampoline. I think it was like at some point we were building a tour. We just thought there was just like an unlimited budget to build things. And so we would pitch these ideas in hopes that they would be like, nah, we kind of assumed they'd say no. And then we're like, yeah, we might figure that out. We're like, really? We could have a trampoline on our stage? Okay, cool.
They brought in the people from Cirque, and they
And
built
we were like,
us a
can we have
trampoline.
like a crazy, like, I don't know how,
I don't know how we got insured to do that. Like
or the
teenagers,
foam guns?
Foam gun.
We had
Yeah,
these massive foam guns that
I refused to do that.
Nick played drums while we just
shot foam at people.
yeah, it was freaking amazing.
Look, we were teenagers and we had a ton of energy and adrenaline and
Doing
a
aerials.
pretty good
And a
portion of the budget separated to just do crazy stuff. And there was a shout out where a shout out is due. There was a concert film that we watched religiously while we were in that little home that we were staying in New Jersey between the time we got kicked out of our other house and we were going to go to LA. And it was a really tough time for us as a family, and we were being dropped by our label. We were writing these songs, and we knew there was something promising about it, but we needed some hope, and we were grinding, and we were deeply in debt, you know, to basically self-fund the band. And so we would watch this movie, just the three of us, to kind of like keep the dream alive. And it was of McFly, who are British pop rock band. The guys are awesome. We've gotten to know them over the years, and you know, they were massive and are massive, but had this movie that they shot at Wembley Arena, and they had some crazy fun gags and looked like they was just having the time of their life. And it was like, one day if this works out, we should do stuff like that and have cool stuff on stage. And so yeah, eventually we just started adding fun things, and we loved designing our shows and all that, and finding ways to like bring the music to life in new ways, even in the show. But we didn't really know what we were doing yet. We were still like figuring it all out.
Yeah.
But we basically had the same band from the very beginning. Jon Taylor, guitar player / musical director and background vocalist. Greg Garbowski, our bass player, who literally joined our band like, you know, at the very beginning in the back band. And Jack Lawless, who was our drummer, and Ryan Listman, keyboard player. And we would spend all this time together, and then bring all that energy and the stuff that we had created in rehearsals to the stage, and we just barely knew what we were doing. And we had a lot of adults around us who had done this with huge acts like Backstreet Boys and Britney Spears and all this, who were basically like, okay, go ahead, like entrusted us. And I think back on it now as a 32-year-old man, I'm like, I'm really grateful that they empowered us to go and kind of do what we wanted to do and dream big. But I don't know if I would have placed that much trust in a bunch of teenagers to like put an arena show together. It's pretty wild, but thankfully it worked out.
Yeah, you guys sold out Madison Square Garden like 3 times in a row. Like, it's just amazing to see, like, to go from what you said earlier, which is performing in malls, performing anywhere you could go, to connecting with so many people.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I was gonna say our fans are incredible. Like and really understood what we were saying, and I think we often would get frustrated that we felt like, to your point at the very beginning of the interview, people were talking more about our personal lives or kind of building archetypes for us to make it easier to understand who each of us kind of were on paper, and our hair and other things that became the conversation. And also, with our work with Disney, we weren't as involved in the creative process because it's Disney. They have to control that, and they have certain deal structures with the writers that work on those songs. And so the Camp Rock songs we didn't write, and it was like really scary for us to go and record music that we didn't write, and because it perpetuated a narrative that we're really frustrated about, which is that, oh, it's manufactured, it's just a slick Disney thing. It's like, go look at the credits of the album, you'll see that we're writing the songs, and our fans really understood us. And I think only because of the sort of primary age range of the fans was it looked at as like a teen band.
Yeah.
But these were really complicated themes about love and loss and needing to feel uplifted, and that, like, even to this day, as we've all grown and our fans are in their 20s or their 30s, having experiences of their own with loss or with a first child or marriage, the songs still connect, and maybe even in more meaningful ways now. And I'm so grateful. It's my greatest point of pride as a creator is to have had the chance to be a part of people's lives in that way.
Amazing. It's interesting because, Joe, you've stated in the past that it always felt like this could go away in the blink of an eye. I heard that on the documentary. I've heard that you say that in interviews, where that you guys would do like every interview, every meet and greet, and you'd say no to the point of exhaustion. What do you do differently now?
Yeah, it's funny. I was thinking about the tour you were mentioning, and I think one of our early tours we had this like trap door, and during a song,
Pushing Me Away.
Pushing Me Away, I would fall through the trap door, and there was a time when I just remember hitting my back so bad, and definitely should have stopped the show. But back then it was like, we can't stop the show. So like with my like a bloody back, like running out on stage, like we gotta keep going, and stuff that like now I know that I could have gotten through it. I would have been fine because I did it, but like probably could have given myself a little bit of relief. I think as we're older now, we understand there's clarity in like taking time for our health and taking time for even just our mental health and well-being, because we can't show up for everyone else if we're not showing up for ourselves. And so we're much more inclined to take a pause. We do love what we do. So naturally we love to create. We love to look at the year and say, okay, like what do we got? Like let's really get after it. And we want to put together the best possible show. We still feel very young. Even 20 years in, we don't really feel like we're luckily we're in our 30s, but this could be very different if we started at 20, we started so young. So I think we're better at being able to have a healthy relationship outside of, call it work, but outside of music. I mean, we have families of our own, and I think we have to make sure to prioritize me time, us time, and that time away from the mics and guitars, and be able to just go live your life. So you find inspiration, go back in the studio, create. And anyone that's listening or watching, I implore you to also encourage you as well to like just go. I have friends that will be in the studio every single day, and hats off to them. That's amazing. But it's okay to go for a walk and go on a hike and go on vacation. And I love the book Green Lights by Matthew McConaughey, and he was in kind of a writer's block era of his life, and he couldn't get a gig, and he was like kind of hit this point in his career where he was just seen as this heartthrob person. And I related a lot with that, because we were like in this, not the heartthrob thing, but this point where he was a cat, you were just saying, oh, this is who you guys are. And for us, like Nick's point too, like having this idea around us that we were manufactured, that we didn't create our own songs, we didn't play our real instruments, that drove us crazy. And you sometimes have to take a step back and we have to go do our thing. Like Camp Rock stuff was actually so healthy for us because we stepped away from being around, which I think made it arguably better or bigger in the States, because we were up away in Canada focused on something different, inspired to go write on our off time. And so, so be a little easier on yourself, writers out there. Take some time off.
I think that's why the breakup, happened, is that there was a lot of conversations we didn't really know how to have, and had been going so hard for so long, had reached a level of success that felt really fragile and like it was going to go away. And I think anytime that you're operating in fear like that, the creative process struggles and is the first thing to take the hit. And we got a little stagnant in our writing and who we were collaborating with or not collaborating with, and kind of stunted our own growth for a season, which for me was really challenging because I wanted it so bad, and I as a reaction to some of the noise around, oh, this is just this, or this was popular then, it's not now. Didn't feel like there was any sustainability to the business and to the thing that I love to do, which is to work with them and write stories and tell sing songs, and it ended, and it kind of rocked all of our worlds, but was the thing that needed to happen for us to get on the other side and go, okay, we need to find who we are as individuals and really treat this as just the work's done and we're family now. And that's what we did. And I knew I had music in me that I wanted to write. I didn't really feel like I could do it on my own, and had lost the confidence to go, I'm just going to go in the studio and do it myself. Because I was just kind of beaten up, feeling like, oh man, maybe I already wrote like the best stuff I'm going to write. And I get a phone call from David Massey, who's at Island Records at this point. He's like, hey, let's go have lunch, catch up. Because the news about the breakup was kind of public and very public. And we had lunch and had a great conversation. He was like, do you have any music you want to play? And I said, I've got one or two things. I don't know if they're any good. And went to his office and played him a few songs. And he's like, it's a good start, but there's more in there. I need to get you with some people and, pull something out of you. And he's like, the first step is there's a song I want you to hear. And he played me a demo for a song called Chains. It was written by Jason Evigan.
Amar Malik.
What's that?
Amar Malik.
And Amar Malik. And I was like, how quickly can I record this? And he's like, well, I'll reach out to Jason and see what he thinks, and Amar. And he calls me later. He's like, they're down to let you cut it. And by the way, there was no momentum on my end. There's plenty on theirs. And so I was like, all right. I get in the studio and I cut the song, and they're really happy with it. I'm super excited. And I'm in LA, and I'm basically lined up with a week of writing sessions, and the first one was with Simon Wilcox and Nolan Ambrosia. And we start writing a song, and we're just kind of hitting a wall. The song doesn't feel like, oh, we've caught the vibe, let's run. So we step outside and start talking about life and this experience that happened to me a couple nights before. And literally the chorus kind of happened while we're just all sitting outside talking, which is my favorite way a song comes to life, is when it's not like, you're in the studio, there's chords being played, and then you're singing melodies and you find lyrics. When it just, the words and the story kind of drive it. And
when writing comes outside of the studio kind of thing?
Yeah, and then we walk back inside and apply that to the chords that Nolan picked out, and Simon and I start cranking in the lyrics, and within literally an hour we'd finished Jealous. And I was like, this feels great. And I had no idea, I just was like, yeah, I really like this. I was pumped on it, but I just didn't know. Again, because I was just underconfident, so I went and played it for Phil, our manager. And he's jumping on the table, and he's like, you did it. I'm like, this is not the typical reaction from Phil about anything. I'm like, I did what? He's like, you did it. I was like, okay. And yeah. he was right. I have a demo.
Oh dang! I think we might have to hear that.
It's very different. The verse is like totally, it's like structured all weird, and there's extra lines that we took out and replaced, and but it's pretty much, this is the day of demo of Jealous, and it sounds pretty close to it apart from the different lyrics.
Pull it up.
So weird. It's like hearing this back.
Wow. That's whoa. Whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa, I like
The
that.
rate
I
changes
heard
were
that.
made.
Grip is slipping.
Also like another necessary change by not saying this word in a second. But
Language.
all right, you stop it.
Wow.
Yeah, so basically David hears it and he's like, I love it. I have some changes I think you should make to the verses, which were all right. And he's like, and you shouldn't be saying fucking so much. And I was like, well, of course, it's one of these things. I'm coming out of like being stereotyped as like this like squeaky clean pop star boy band Disney kid. It's like, I really think it's important to be edgy, and I like stood my ground on this for a while, and it just goes to show, like, for any writer, sometimes like the unnecessary F word that you think just makes the song edgier isn't the play. And I hear it and I go like, oh, they're trying to just make this sound more edgy. It's like just it can be whatever.
Also, like the phonetics though of sexy versus fucking is like, in my opinion, sounds better.
Yeah, but I was
Just
like,
in
what are we
songwriting.
gonna say? Like, you're too sexy, beautiful. And I was like, well, it's kind of. I think Simon said, like, someone was like, we should. What about, yeah? But it was like stumbled into it, and then on the Tinashe version, we ended up keeping the fucking, but
Explicit.
the word, and it was a crazy moment. Like, much like the self-titled album, it kind of like came out and did like okay, and then just over the course of
Number one.
I just found
Many
Cake by
months.
the Ocean's demo.
Oh,
Ooh,
dang.
you gotta tell this
With
story.
Tranter.
Yeah, Cake by the Ocean. The
Can
story.
we pause for like 2 seconds? I have to use the bathroom. Is that
I also have to use.
is that okay?
Yeah,
Sorry
yeah.
to do that.
Fine, guys.
Over the last few years, I've sat down with some of the greatest minds in all of music, and they've told me stories and given me some of the best tips that changed my entire perspective on creating. And I'm looking to give that to you because I'm hoping that it can help you just as much as it helped me. My goal with Behind the Wall is to shine a light on the people's stories behind music, movies, and media. It's to inspire the next generation of creatives, but it's also to create the platform that I wish I had when I first started making music, when I first started being creative, when I first started making videos. Behind the Wall has taught me so much on this journey, and I want to take these lessons that I've learned and help the next generation. So I put together 15 of the most important and impactful lessons that I've learned on my own journey from these people directly, from some of the greatest minds in all of music. People like Chris Martin of Coldplay, Benny Blanco, Ryan Tedder, Julia Michaels, Amy Allen, Bonnie McKee, Savin Kotecha. So many of the greatest minds in all of music, people that I had the pleasure and privilege of interviewing. People like Ryan Tedder, who gave me one of the greatest pieces of advice that helped me on my own journey. People like Benny Blanco, who changed my entire perspective 6 years into making music. People like Marshmello, who taught me that as long as something sounds good to you, it doesn't matter what anyone else thinks. And I'm looking to pass this knowledge on to you, which will be 15 lessons from the greatest minds in music, which will be in the description completely for free.
And now let's return to Behind the Wall. While we're waiting for Joe, one thing I wanted to say to you, Nick, just to say this now, is I talked to Jason about Chains, and do you know who they had their eye on to record that before you, and who they were talking to?
I don't.
It was Usher and Bruno Mars.
Whoa.
And what I found to be interesting is I talked to Jason, and Jason was like, because these massive artists wanted to record the song, they didn't really want to give it at the time.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure.
But then when they heard your version, they were like blown away, and they're like, we have to do it now. So I thought that really stood out.
Jason's the best.
That's crazy.
I love Jason so much.
There was a few songs in that time period that didn't go to me that I really wanted. Like Sam Martin was writing and Jason and Fios. But had I not gotten Chains, I would have been so bummed.
It was interesting because Chains like came out first, and then Jealous, and then Chains like got re-released, and then like it like exploded with Jealous.
I thought Chains was truly his second single. Like I didn't know it came out first. And like, oh no, this one came out first. I'm like,
A lot of
did
people.
it?
Well,
I'm
you
like,
just couldn't.
I'm like, did it?
You couldn't do that today because it's just the way
The way the world works.
Okay, Cake by the Ocean story.
Yeah, so the story goes, I wasn't working on really any music. I started this idea. Wendy Goldstein and I had a conversation about making a project. And we spoke about how I wanted to start a band. And they're like, another band? I'm like, yeah, I don't want to do a solo artist. I think it would just naturally be competitive with what Nick was doing. And musically, I want to do something that I tried to do many years ago. I made an album with Robert Schwartzman from Rooney. And we made this project that wasn't right for at the time. But I was like, I want to do something like that with band. I have Jack, the drummer Jack, that's been with us from the beginning. I was like, I want him to, early days, I should say. I want him to be in the band, and I would love if Jinju would also be in this band with me, who was at the time touring with Sierra. And I had a week of sessions. It was me, Julie Michaels, Mattman and Robin, and Justin Trainer. Put this on Do Not Disturb again. We had a week of writing sessions, and we were kind of just hitting like... just creatively, we were just not getting it. It wasn't working, and I was just like, really want to like try to. I kept all the songs we were writing were very romantic or sexy, and I was like, this is kind of like what Nick was doing.
Well, sorry to interrupt you, but that same group, Matt and Robin, Julia and Justin, had just written "Close" for me, or they're around that same time. So they were really in that flow of like these really interesting, sexy, cool, vibey tracks, and I've flipped that they were going to let me cut Close. And anyway, so.
And I was just like, this feels not right. And so I think that night, I think we like all went for a drink or individually. I can't really remember. Julia didn't come in that day. And we shut up the studio at like noon, a little later. And I just sat outside with everyone and be like, I'll be honest with you guys, I'm pretty hungover. And they're like, oh my God, so are we. I was like, what? I was like, what did you guys do last night? We all started laughing. And then Justin's like, well, should we get a bottle? He's like, should we have a hair of the dog? And like, I was like, I guess. So then we like had a drink, sat outside, and then we went to the studio finally, and we're like, let's just try to work on something. And Mattman kept playing bum, bum, dun, 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 on his guitar. I was like, what is that? You played that yesterday. He's like, it's for us. We've had it for 10 years. We're just saving for a special song. And I was like, well, can we try to use that? And he's like, I guess. And I was like, no pressure. I get it. Those kind of things are like sacred to some like musicians. They have these little licks that they're like, I don't know, one day. I was like, can we try it? Thank God they waited. And they were telling a story about what they were drinking last night down in Santa Monica. They were like, oh, we were drinking all these Cake by the Oceans that were so good. And I was like, do you mean Sex on the Beach? But we just were laughing hysterically. And then we were just like, I was like, wait, I think there's something there. And so then we wrote the song in about 20 minutes. And I just found the demo. So we listened to it.
Yes. That'd be amazing.
The song structure was way different.
Really?
And then I remember, I'll never forget Max Martin. He, at the last, like in the final hour, heard it, was like, it's cool. Yeah, just make the post the bridge, and then we're like, and then like left the room. And he like fixed the. I wouldn't say fixed it, but he solved the riddle.
It in a way.
Yeah,
It's crazy.
All right, so which one's older?
know.
2015. This was July 6th, 2015. And it's just a text, email from Mattman saying, here you go for a demo. This is what we had that day, I think. Not a lot changed. The drums changed. And the vocal take.
Waste time with the masterpiece, to waste time with the masterpiece. You should be roaming me, you should be roaming me.
And we were like, one of the biggest things, one things that I think I'm really proud of on the songwriting front, it was like, we just really dared to, I saw this quote like a few days ago, and it was like, be brave enough to be terrible.
Yeah.
And I think it's important for people out there, just go for it. Like half of the lyrics are like us just like, that's fine, let's just leave it for now. And we kept it. And we thought, we're like, fuck it, it's so fun. And
let's start living dangerously. Talk to me, baby. I'm rolling like a beer, sweet craving for hope. Let's lose our minds and go fucking crazy.
also, there was a lot of fucking in this song too. The original lyrics were let's go fucking crazy. And then once it started picking up heat, the song, we changed it. So there was 2 different versions out there for a while, but obviously we didn't even have a censored version because we never thought this would be like a thing. I'll go to the chorus, I'll go to the bridge that I was telling you about. So this was the original bridge. No, this is the bridge. This is the post of the whole song now. Now if you go to the end of the song, so we flipped that was Max's idea. Okay. Now this is so Max came in and was like, just go ooh ah. Oh yeah, keep on ho. He's like, make it chanty, and left, and we were like, what?
I was like, from all the.
Oh, it's a cool ending actually. We kept this ending in if you hear it still.
We like talking in our songs.
It's really funny. There's
Especially
yeah.
Lovebug.
So great.
Okay. There you go.
You talked about Max Martin, and you guys have worked with Max Martin. And what I find to be amazing is like, there's just so many like random stories of songs that he's not even credited on, where it's like, oh yeah, Max had this idea to change this one thing, or to do a repeat on this one thing, or add this vocal chant. When you guys are working with someone, I thought this was interesting because you guys have worked with like Max Martin, you've worked with Tedder, Louis Bell, so many incredible producers. When you guys are working with them, is there like a sense of you when you're playing with guitar or singing, when you guys are doing takes, is there a sense of you that like wants to impress these people while also trying to be your own artist at the same time?
Great question.
Definitely. I think at first, working with some of these, I think not so much now. I think we're quite more confident now in who we are as musicians, and we know what we like. But when you're Max, we met, I think, one of the first meetings we had with David Massey. He was walking out of us meeting with him, and we're like, oh, oh my God. And kind of lost it. It was like, one day, imagine. And he's kind of been around, and we've worked with a bunch of his people. So when we finally got to work with him, yeah, I think there was definitely nervous energy, because you're just like, you would love this guy's respect and your ideas to be liked. Until you kind of just, I guess, behind the wall, realize that they're just all people who are loving the creation of music,
Yeah.
and working with other people that love that thing as much as you do. if you are working with people that are just kind of like arrogant and like they think they know everything, that sucks. That's I think kind of sad that there's people like that, and there's a lot of artists and songwriters out there that they think they know best, and I think usually the best idea in the room is somebody else's, because you're just working together, and it's quite nice.
That's what was so cool to see, like when the band did come back together, 2018, 2019, when we started working on the Happiness Begins project, so I guess 2018, and seeing the collective, because I left, when the band broke up and I kind of like stepped outside of music for a long time, and I left where we were very insulated, working by ourselves, independently, doing all of that, as Nick said before, kind of focused on making creation by ourselves. And I came back to a world where Joe had collected his best friends that he loves making music with, Nick with the same people, and this energy of all of these people that I truly had never met. And I walked into this building, and for the first time we did like a 3-day camp, right? Of just like, of writing. And Jason Evigan in one room, Tedder in a different room. Can't even remember all the people that were here, but like, it was just unbelievable. And to experience like walking into a room with all these people that I don't know, that just are so incredibly good in their crafts and so excited to just create. As Joe said, it was so fun and so like re-energizing.
All that.
Yeah, basically coming off of the solo stuff when we decided to come back together, and at first it was just gonna be for some shows, and then we started saying we should do some new music and really like treat this as a full comeback. And it took Joe a minute to warm up to the idea. He was having success with DNCE. I was having success with my solo stuff, and everything was good on our own, but there was something missing, that connection together, and I was desperate to reignite the magic, and we made this documentary, kind of traveled different parts of the world, and reconnected first as family, and then got back to LA and started the process of writing some music for this. And at first, the healthiest way for us to go about it was for Joe to kind of do his thing with his people that he had been working with, and for me to do a few days. So I went in with Greg Kirsten and Mozilla, and we did a few days, and we wrote this song called I Believe, which is on Happiness Begins, and then Joe came over, we did Strangers, and it started to kind of just build, and then we all came together for this camp Kevin's talking about. And we got to a point where we had working with Tedder and Justin and Greg and all of his different kind of fun musical ideas, and Tedder's like, I got this song, you guys have to hear it. And we're like, cool, send it over. And he sends us the demo for Sucker. And we love it. We're like, this is awesome. It's so different. It's what a fresh sound. And going and we cut it. And I'll never forget, I was here in LA, I had a little dinner party with some friends to play them the new album. And this often happens, I think, with artists or creators. Like, you have the thing that you love. The experience may have been something that was really unique in how the song came together, or it's a personal experience you're able to put into a song, or it's just your personal preference. You like that song more than something else. And when you get to the point where you're trying to pick a single, and for us, the stakes were, again, very high. It's like the comeback single. I'm sitting there being like, I think this one could be the single. And at the very end, after playing like 13 tracks, I'm like, oh, and Tedder just sent us this one, which I think is really cool. We're going to cut it this week. And I play Sucker. And my wife is like, what are you thinking? That is the single. And I was like, you think? She's like, yeah. And I was like, okay, cool. And I went and cut it. And she was certainly right. But I think we all had different experiences where someone was like, oh my God, that's it. But we were kind of like, couldn't, for whatever reason. But when I heard the final version, once the Dap Kings had gotten on it, and
in Mammoth, and we were together in Mammoth,
yeah, and Tedder sent us the final version, I was like, oh my gosh, he did it. Like, it's just so, I'll never forget. And we, have a very small sort of piece of the songwriting collaboration, because it was all those guys, and they just crushed it. Louis Bell and But what an important song in our our career, and it was a special moment.
It was the one that launched y'all back
Yeah.
into the spotlight to like another level. It was the first song to go #1 for y'all, which is crazy.
Yeah, charts weren't really our thing. I think we would have.
But you guys killed Radio Disney though, like the Radio
Radio
Disney.
We had
We
a
got
couple
all the awards.
#1 albums, but we never had a #1 song. So it was like, it was a it was a really special thing coming back and having that be the way we were greeted. And then Happiness Begins, I think, is an album we're incredibly proud of, and that tour, that chapter in our journey, and then kind of coming out of COVID or getting right around COVID times, we get a phone call from Vail, our manager, and he's like, "Hey, I just had a really great conversation with Jon Bellion," and at this point he's absolutely crushing it. And we'd never worked with him before. Huge fans, have been forever, and he's like he's got some thoughts that he wants to share with you guys, and we're like, yeah, great. Like we're thinking he's got like musical thoughts, and he's like, no, he's got some thoughts. He wants to come meet you in LA and sit and talk.
That's cool.
I just love that Bellion's just such a real guy.
Yeah.
That he's like, we're not gonna like talk music or work until we just like sit and get to know each
Have
other.
a conversation, yeah.
And he came out, and we spent the afternoon just hanging, listening to his kind of perspective on what he thought we should do next, and how he could be helpful. And we just talked about life and not music stuff, and
Right.
and he played us this song called "Sail Away," and we're all like, oh my God,
Yeah.
when can we cut that? He's like, we'll do it later. And I'm like, well, my studio downstairs it's available. So I had a little writing room in my house, and yeah, we went down there. And to answer your question from before, is it like intimidating? It's like when you hear Jon Bellion's voice on a demo, or Tedder's for that matter, and you're in the vocal booth trying to like come even close to that, it's like pretty challenging. But he was so uplifting, and he's like in the room with us. It's like we're literally here and cutting it in the room, and his energy was so hype.
He's so awesome.
And it got really hot in the room because we're all like jumping up and down. And it was a really magical way to start that process, and to make that album with him was a dream for us. And it's interesting. It's like there are songs that raised their hands that we kind of never would have expected, that people like Vacationize has become something live that's like just a really special moment. And Walls, I think a song we'll play forever now, and it's just that album. I'm really proud of it.
Amazing. I was recently in New York at Jon Bellion's like basement studio to doing it like a conversation with him. Talked about you guys. We talked about all the amazing songs he did, but most importantly, we talked about success today and what does success actually mean. And I think like when it comes to the solo eras, I kind of consider the solo era like a part of the Jonas Brothers era personally. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of times where we were talking about his project, Father Figure. We're talking about like what does success actually mean, and he talked about how important it is and how much of a success it is to be a present dad today. I think nowadays society pushes this idea of numbers, number ones, money, all these different things. But how do you guys see success now in that way?
Speaking for myself, I think that what we do because we love it. And, it's definitely a part of our soul and how we express ourselves. But success for me is being able to have a relationship with my family and my children, and have them be proud of me and be someone that hopefully they can look up to, and obviously want to give them the life that they deserve, and whatever I can do to be the best version of myself for them. I think that's success, right? Like, we've had a very long journey. 20 years is, in this business can be, there's obviously artists that have been doing it forever, but Bruce Springsteen just dropped like 7 albums yesterday, I think it was. But
that's
like
crazy.
I know it's just one of those things where I think success is how you find the simpler times can sometimes be where the success actually lies. The quiet moments, the time we have lunch after a big event, and the day after, and it's just super chill, and it's not about anything other than just being together. I think those are the moments that I cherish.
I love it. So the additional part is Waffle House is another song that I heard you guys talking that you didn't have, like, you couldn't go to bars, so instead you went to the Waffle House.
Yeah.
Is that right?
We were too young to go out after shows, and usually we had to get to the next city. So our tour bus or van and trailer at the time, we'd leave, and the only place open that would have us is usually Waffle Houses in the middle of nowhere.
How
or
late is it
diners. This
usually?
is probably midnight, 1 a.m. because we were
Wow.
loading gear out. And when we were, I guess, at a point where we had 2 crew members and we still like had to wait for them. So we still left and we're wide awake. Say let's call it 10, 11 p.m. All the restaurants are closed. There's one highway and there's a Waffle House. And sure enough, it was kind of our safe place. And also, it's funny, we're texting John and I just texted him Waffle House as like a song title name. And then he's like, huh? And then I was like, oh, never mind. I was like, never mind. And I like deleted it. He's like, and I was like, actually, no, this is a place we used to go to a lot. Blah, blah. And that was like one of the 9th inning songs for the album. Was Waffle House.
It's amazing.
Pretty funny.
But also, like, looking at your guys' story, it seems like one of the big influences is also the BeeGees.
Yep. The BeeGees as well. I mean, we always grew up listening to their catalog, and our dad is a massive fan. He was like a competitive roller skater, so a lot of disco music was usually being played in his home.
He's so good at
And we got to meet Barry Gibb at multiple shows. He'd bring his family to shows in Florida when he was living there, and kind of mind-blowing for us. And then we got to perform at the BeeGees, like honoring, I think it was for Kennedy Honors, I think, at the time. We performed
here in LA, Grammy.
Oh, right.
Grammy Honors.
Something. It was Grammy Honors, and we performed, I think it was Staying Alive, right?
Yeah, I think so.
It was Staying Alive. It was pretty sick. So, kind of mind-blowing. And anyway, so then you can speak to this next, obviously. This kind of stems from your songwriting.
Yeah, I had a couple days off between some shows or something. I was doing solo shows with I think Bruno Mars at the time down in Mexico, and I like popped over to Nashville after, super inspired after seeing Bruno do his thing and killing it, and I had a couple days, so I was like, Julian Bonetta, do you want to meet up and write a song? We'd just done this writing camp for Thomas Rhett, and had a great experience. And so I was like, let's just meet up, fully expecting to like write some sort of country influence stuff in Nashville and you know, start jamming on this guitar line. And he starts playing along with me, and then it was kind of sad, like, what if it had like a BeeGees vibe? And then and we just went with it, and then eventually we're like, just keep that in there for now, and it'll never get clear, but we'll change it. And so we did like a mumble verse, and then had the chorus written, and then I literally sat on this like day of demo for like 5-6 years,
Oh, wow.
just being like, one day we'll finish it, or not, because, you know, I don't know. But I like played it for the guys around this time last year. I was like, I did this years ago with Julian. I think we need to finish this because I think it's good. And obviously that he's like sitting at number 1 with Sabrina Carpenter and like killing it. Steph Jones then jumps on to help finish the verses. And we kind of threw out like a Hail Mary to the, you know, to Barry Gibb and the estate, and said, here's this song. And we, you know, we had actually met Barry a few times. He'd come to shows with his family in Miami, and I was asked to be a part of the BeeGees documentary. It's just like a talking head, you know. So I think there was warmth there, but I still was like, there's no way they'll clear like using that melody. And sure enough, they did. And
It's amazing.
it was like we flipped out, and you know, it's out now, and just the reaction's been incredible. And it just goes to show you never know, what's going to happen with a song.
I don't know if the BeeGees have ever cleared anything ever, to be honest with you, and it's amazing to see that. But also, like, you guys being three brothers, them being three brothers, there's a lot of like connection there. It's really cool.
Yeah, the BeeGees are a huge influence to us, and this new album, Greetings from Your Hometown, has taken many years to complete. And it's stories like this, where like a song maybe started over here, and for whatever reason took some time, but I think it really gave us time to make sure that we were, putting a collection of songs together that really represented
100%.
our stories and our life and our musical journey. There's a lot of songs that don't just talk about love or part of the thing with Happiness Begins was we're all at a certain stage in our life where some of the themes on the album were similar because it reflected what was happening in our lives. With this one, we're all in different places in our life, and we're trying to sort of collect 3 different points of view into one album. So there are songs that literally talk about online trolls, like Tables is fully about that, and it's like you would never really know it listening to it because it's just got a real good vibe to it. But it's a way for us to express a thing that I think we've felt and that a lot of people feel and experience. And then songs like Greetings from Your Hometown, which is all about going back to the place that shaped who you become, and it's the good, the bad, and the ugly. It's not just a romanticizing nature of like, oh, your hometown. Sometimes it's painful, and it's like, I love the lyric, it's everyone you love, you hate, it's everything that made you. Greetings from Your Hometown. And collaborating with Switchfoot on that was like a dream for us. It's full circle for, the stories we've told today. And then, more songs on the album, I Can't Lose, which, we did in a Miami writing camp where Joe basically curated a week-long writing camp in Miami where he lives with some of the people that like have been a part of all these different chapters in our story. And Justin Tranter was there, and Mickey Echo and Ryan Daly, all these people that like really, just have been a part at different points, but we all got to come together and do some really cool stuff. Alexander 23, Blush, Just Set.
Wow.
Ian Kirkpatrick, and
Wow.
we came out with like 4 or 5 songs that we're thrilled with, and one in particular that I just want to say one thing about real fast called When You Know, which, I think is more in line with like our early records, the self-titled album, or a little bit longer than any song we've ever done, in the later years, and it's all about when something ends and not just romantic, but that feeling of like when you know that it's time for it to come to a close, and just it's got this really cool verse, and the chorus allows for Joe to do what he does best and like soar, and it's just I'm really excited about this album. I'm glad we took our time. I'm sorry it took the time that it took, but it was important for us to get it right.
Love it. That's interesting because you talked about online trolls. You guys have been public figures for so long and have been in the public eye for so long. And also, we're on the internet super early. So you guys have like experienced trolls and hate comments.
We didn't really
right?
have any other way to like get our music out there. So like MySpace for us was the thing, and we started making short form content before short form content on YouTube. YouTube was just born, right? Like YouTube still had that little TV icon. For those listening, it was different. And we would make videos like the turn the tables video that's still out there now. Like that's what 8 seconds long. I don't know. Like that's Vine before TikTok. Like it's weird.
How did hate comments get to you back then, and how do you deal with them now?
Probably didn't care as much back then for online trolls. I think it has like a different effect now, because I think the only thing is we can all sort of handle trolls. We've been doing it for a very, very long time. It's tough to feel misunderstood or like you're being characterized as something that you're not. And I think as I've gotten older and things like integrity and your character and the person that you are become like slightly more realized and more important. And so it's unfortunate to feel misunderstood. But that being said, I'm not going to get on the microphone here and complain about any aspect of what we have to quote unquote deal with, because what we get to experience and the fact that we can look up and say, wow, we're still doing this after 20 years, and the kinds of partners creatively that we want to work with, that we strive to work with, still want to work with us. What a blessing. And if this is the small tax we have to pay, it is what it is. But it never feels good to be mischaracterized. And once you just know how to compartmentalize that and say that is what it is, and move on and be a present and thoughtful person, it's fine.
I love that. You also talked about the songwriting for this album, and when I've talked to a lot of songwriters, Tedder, Bellion, they always talk about how they lead with melody first, and they come up with the melody, and they basically improvise different melody lines until they find something. Did any of the songs come about in that way, where it was kind of just melody was coming off and the lyrics come after?
Yeah, there's a few songs. I'm trying to think which it was. What song did we write during the live? We were shooting that thing downtown LA. We're recreating the intro to our live tour concert film.
You're talking about Much Better.
Much Better.
Oh yeah, Much Better. We wrote on the side of.
That's from A Little Bit Longer album.
Yeah, but yeah, that melody led first in that one. I mean, it's different every time. You know? I feel like there's never, for us at least, there's never really a math to it. There's been guitars, piano, a drum beat, even just a poetry or just a lyric idea, and you're trying to find how to navigate the melody. But I don't think there's necessarily a science to it for us.
Goes off of more feeling.
Most of the time, yeah.
That's cool. I would be sad if I didn't ask about this. One of the most iconic Jonas Brothers songs ever. Went number 5 on the Billboard Hot 100, Burning Up.
Burning Up.
Yeah.
How did that song come about?
We were playing a show actually at a church in New Jersey. And I don't know, this is early days. It was that we would get booked in the most random places, anywhere that would take us. And I think because maybe they knew that our dad was a pastor, they thought we just assumed we were a Christian music act or something, which we weren't. We were singing about what they say, secular themes, secular music. Doesn't mean that it's about sex. It just means it's not Christian. And so we did sound check, and I guess the faculty at the church was having a sidebar conversation with our management team, basically this isn't what we paid for, basically, expecting that we'd be up there singing Christian songs. So we went out to the tour bus that we had, and there was a back lounge, and I had been playing around with the chord progression for a few days. I thought it felt kind of Princey, and I was in a Prince musical education full deep dive, because John Fields, our producer, is from Minneapolis, and was like, you need to study Prince. So I was listening to When Doves Cry for a week straight, and trying to just understand what was going on. And so this chord progression came, and I showed it to the guys. I'm like, we should write our edgiest song or something. It should be hot, and then the literal first lyric is, I'm hot. And the genius songwriters were, I'm hot, you're cold. Perfect way to get into it.
How did we come up with that one?
Again, always assuming when something feels cliche or we know that's not good, we'll just keep it
to keep moving
and keep the momentum going. You can always go back and fix it and make it better.
There was an amazing songwriter we worked with very early on, which was, he always said, dare to suck. And we were always nervous in the room with these great songwriters. He's like, just throw it out. What do you have? Just throw it out. This guy wrote some iconic songs. I mean, Aerosmith hits. Well, I'm blanking on his name right now.
Hudson.
Yeah.
Eric Hudson?
Mark Hudson.
Mark Hudson. And we got to write with him very early on. And he was just like, dare to suck, dare to suck. He's like, just tell it. What is it? And we're like, I don't know. Just say it. So now it's we carry that on. It was such great songwriting education for us. We still try to get back to that.
And often those moments stay in the song.
Yeah, stay, and you realize, oh yeah, maybe I was overthinking it, and it's better that it was just this. So we write the song, and we show it to Fields in Toronto, and it's so funny because the ad-lib stuff in the second verse, the back and forth, has taken on this sort of life of its own, the red dress of it all, and it's like it's amazing because it's not often that like ad libs, like a red dress, is sung back with as much enthusiasm as that is. Like there are I think very few examples of times where an ad lib becomes almost its own hook and thing. And
then also Big Rob, we didn't have any rapper friends, and so we literally were like, Big Rob, we need to put this down, a rap vocal, and we would always rap with him in the car and have fun, and it's our security guard at the time. And we're like, can you just lay down the temp rap for us, and then we'll go pitch it to somebody. So we just kept it because it was so good. And we are like, are you comfortable with this? He's like, I mean, I guess. He was such like a character within our group anyway. People were obsessed with Big Rob. Our fans loved him. And so it just kind of it just became a thing that we did not expect that. We almost thought like, okay, cool, this will be a song that people will love. And be like, oh, that's their security guard. That's fun. And then he's had merchandise like.
Yeah, it's incredible. The other thing about that song, which is,
it's not the only song, by the way, that Big Rob has a plaque record for.
What's the other one? Oh, Bounce.
We also did this joke type song while we were bored and shooting, I think, Camp Rock 2.
Camp Rock 2, yeah.
We did a song called Bounce, and we just did it as like a
Spoof
spoof song.
Like a sketch.
And it like actually charted. and
we have, I made it on GarageBand in my trailer, and it sounds like shit. Like it's terrible.
I think
I got like royalties off this song, and I'm
yeah. We were laughing. I'll never forget when Big Rob he got like a plaque for it.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's quite funny.
I love that that song in particular just sounds like it was coming naturally from you guys, like being genuinely yourselves, bringing like a temp red dress. Honestly though, but like Max Martin talking about like the parts that like really stand out and are the earworms, that definitely comes from red dress to me. When I hear it, it just like stands out so much, and like an ad lib usually isn't like that, and so it like really stands out. And then even you guys said you rapped with Big Rob in the car, like the most genuine song that is yourselves was the one that connects so much.
Absolutely.
I think it really stands out to writers and to artists to be like, that's the way we're moving in this direction of music nowadays. People want that.
Authenticity, right?
Yeah.
Like it's what we talked about early on, like how the album was like what we were working on early with Sony, and the things we were, yes, the idea was there, we liked this kind of music, but being a band that, like a grungy rock band in the garage was not necessarily who we were. Edgy, so like to find authenticity, like you said, and just be us in a song like Big and Burn It Up, it's exactly that.
I love it. I started behind the wall to shine a light on the people and stories behind music, movies, and media, but it was also to inspire and help the next generation of creatives. You guys went from starting off as a band, getting dropped, performing in malls, touring and grinding so much, eventually finding your footing, creating your sound, becoming these massive stars, realizing that, hey, I want to go off and figure out who I am now, and then coming back together. What is your piece of advice for artists and creatives out there that want to be in this industry, want to be successful?
Authenticity will stand out, and we are in such an incredible era where people can discover music and discover new artists. And it's so easy to look at social media as like the enemy sometimes as a musician. Now I understand being mysterious is cool, but also just showing who you are and showing your heart, I think is even cooler. I think people really want to know who the real you are. And I think try to not allow too many cooks in the kitchen, and ultimately do it for the right reasons. If you're doing this because you want to be famous, then you should quit, because it's not that's not a fun thing. It's something you comes with it maybe, but you have to have a very healthy relationship with that. And if you do it because it's all you think about, and you wake up and you want to make music, and you go to sleep and you want to make music, then give it a shot.
Anything to add, Kevin or Nick?
Yeah, I agree. Authenticity is key. I think it's good to be motivated and driven and to believe in yourself, it's also good to listen to your collaborators and to maybe not have the best idea in the room every time, and to be willing to be wrong about something too, and to learn from it and grow. I think oftentimes what happens is that to get a foot in the door, to make it happen, you think that you have to be the one who's driving it, but actually it's great to ride alongside collaborators who bring something unique and meaningful and different to the equation. Now, if you're the kind of artist that goes, no, it's just me, I'm doing myself, well then, like, by all means. But if you're gonna like really thrive as a songwriter specifically, I think it's wonderful as even just an exercise to collaborate and see where you get to. And then to Joe's point about fame versus artistry and authenticity, yeah, if your goal is to make money or to be famous, I can pretty much guarantee you it's going to come at some cost if it happens at all. And you got to recognize the value you're placing on that, and it should be so much smaller than your desire to be great and to make something meaningful. And if it happens and it's what you wanted on top, then great.
Oh, great.
But it should not be your driving force.
How do you know when you're great?
I think it's all subjective. So it's, for instance, I'll give an example. We've talked about this a lot. There are publications that'll come out with a list of the greatest songs of all time, or the greatest movies of all time, or
The best songs of the year.
best songs of the year. And often, we all kind of go, sure, like maybe, because the fact that the consumer now in 2025 is able to be their own gatekeeper for what they want to hear, what they experience, has really taken the power away from critics or the voice we're all supposed to listen to tell us that our opinion is in line with what's cool or what matters. It makes us feel better about ourselves. There's something good in anything that finds its way through, and that could be a song that is deemed a pop song. If you go back and listen to some of the greatest pop songs of all time, you hear the brilliance in it. But at the time it came out, it was probably being panned for being too slick or too this, for having too much compression, all these things that just don't age well, because those records are great. And there's things like, if you want to be a songwriter, I'm listening to a bunch of music from kids' movies now and TV shows because my daughter's 3.5 years old. And I'm like, these songs are excellent. Mm-hmm. Like the job is to write a song that 3-year-olds will be able to digest and understand. But the melodies are amazing and the words are great. And I just think it's like sad that we sometimes, we as the collective, we hold ourselves to a truly unrealistic and frankly just a bad business model. It's better if everyone's winning, if everyone's finding a way to break through and succeed, and if we're being selective and exclusive about who can, then we're not doing our job. Support the community, support your other artists. It doesn't have to be an artist that's going to win every award. It could be someone that's just doing something great in their craft, whatever that is. And I think it's wonderful for us as folks who've been doing this now for 20 plus years to be one small example of artists that were never on those lists, and that, look at the stats, never won certain awards. And we're so like happy with our career and the fact that we're still doing this, and we have fans that love and support us and that we would not be here without. So maybe we're one small example of how sometimes just being yourself matters most.
Love it. Anything to add about it?
After that, no way. That was great.
Incredible. Well, as a Disney kid myself, I'm very grateful for the opportunity to talk
awesome.
to y'all
Thank
you.
you.
This was amazing.
and to go behind the wall. At the end of every interview, I always be sure to give a thank you card. This one's for Kevin.
Fantastic. Thank you.
This one's for Joe.
Love it.
And this one.
Thank you
is
so
for Nick.
much. I really appreciate it. That's very nice.
And it's really awesome because like I think we've heard so many stories about you guys, but I think this is the first time that people are ever get to hear the demos of the songs and
Yeah,
hear
for sure.
about the music and the stories of the music itself. I think it's really going to stand out and connect with people.
Thank you so much for taking the time
Thank
with us.
you
Thank you.
so much. Love this.
Amazing. Thanks for joining us on Behind the Wall.
Bye.
That was great, man.